Today we're going to talk about three people: Liver King, Paul Saladino, and a guy that spends $2 million a year to be the healthiest guy on the planet, no other than Bryan freaking Johnson. Each claims that their unique diet is the perfect way to live, but now the cracks are starting to show. And there's a guy 100 years ago that could have told these guys they were wasting their time. I got into this rabbit hole 15 years ago because I had low energy, I was depressed, and I was overweight. And when I locked down my workout routine and my meal plan, I lost 20 pounds in 3 months. And that's when I realized strength is what you get in the gym, and to lose weight is what you do in the kitchen. At the end of this video, you're not going to be hit with like 40 different rules of what to do and not to do. You're going to be given one simple idea that will be the foundation for you to live a healthier life. So let's talk about the famous guy, Liver King. His real name is Bryan Johnson and he's based down in Texas. Now, before he hit social media, his company, Ancestral Supplements, was already popular, selling different types of beef organs in a capsule, and he was doing about $40 million a year. When he got online, his popularity exploded. He would do a little bit crazy things as eating raw liver or bull testicles, and then running around in places like New York City with his shirt off, showing his physique and doing crazy stunts. Soon the public start questioning whether or not he's natural or was he using steroids and other substances to enhance his physique. Of course he would deny it until, and you're not going to believe this, he was caught with an email from him to somebody else explaining his monthly intake of steroids and human growth hormone at a cost of $10,000 a month. Ironically, today his company, Ancestral Supplements, is probably going to do $100 million a year. And I know when you say the word Liver King, there's people that hate him and that love him. There's one thing you can't deny. He is the sole reason that eating whole foods and embracing an ancestral lifestyle became popular again, especially at today's level. And dozens of companies have financially benefited from his movement. You got the beef tallow-based cosmetic company called Primarily Pure, and then you have the electrolyte company called Santa Cruz Paleo, both doing $20 million for this year. Liver King's business partner named Dr. Paul Saladino that launched Heart and Soil that had $50 million in revenue within 3 years. And then you have Element, the famous electrolyte drink that's been riding this wave, and this year they're on pace to do $200 million. Liver King is like today's version of Ron Burgundy. He's confident, he's arrogant, he's not exactly trustworthy, and he's created a movement that you cannot ignore. And today, after being caught, he does admit he not only eats beef liver, meat, but also includes fruits and vegetables. Now let's go to the other side. You got plant-based Bryan Johnson. Bryan Johnson is famous for spending $2 million a year and trying to reverse his aging and being the healthiest man on the planet. He does this by having a plant-based diet, takes dozens of tests each month, and takes a handful of supplements each day. His idea is to give himself so much data he can make the right decision. My concern, he's looking at so much information, is he getting paralysis by analysis? And when you look at him, the guy just doesn't look healthy. And even with all this money he's spending, he hasn't been able to solve his thyroid problem that he has had since he was in his early 20s. And unfortunately, a few weeks ago, he did admit to the public that he has a new disease, which is called autoimmune gastritis, which is essentially his stomach is eating itself. And one of the side effects with this disease is low iron. And because he's stuck on this plant-based diet, he's been trying to use plant-based iron sources to raise his levels, which hasn't been happening. He can easily solve this by adding meat to his freaking diet, because with plant-based iron is non-heme iron. Absorption rate is as low as 5%, maybe up to 15%. But if you add in meat such as liver or even muscle meats, it comes with heme iron. This is a meat-based iron, and absorption rates is as high as 35%. And recently on X, he did let out a tweet, I guess if you want to call it that, that maybe he's taking this longevity thing a little bit too far. Is this a sign that he's going to look at health with more of an open mind, especially with his diet? Now we come to Paul Saladino, one of the few guys out there that's tried different diets to deal with his health issues. In the beginning, he tried veganism, didn't do anything. Then he went to the other extreme as pure carnivore. He starts seeing improvements in his health. And because of that, he was prophesizing that eating meat is the only way to go. He even wrote a book called The Carnivore Code. And he's become negative on plants because it has anti-nutrients like oxalates. The science does back it up, but his attitude was all or nothing. And he would cite case studies showing how these anti-nutrients are affecting people. But what he leaves out is that you're able to take these anti-nutrients out of the plant by soaking it, fermenting it, or even cooking it. But it doesn't go with the personality he's trying to sell online. And ironically, in the last couple of years, he has been moving away from this meat-only based diet. In the beginning, he added honey. Now he's adding fruit. And once in a while, he's going to show you that he's eating sweet potatoes and squash. Vegetable is not the main part of his diet, but you can see the direction he's going to a balanced whole food diet. And if you think that vegans are immune from this, they are absolutely not. In the last few years, there's been a handful of vegans that have secretly been eating meat-based products or have come out publicly saying that the vegan diet has been causing them health issues. The most famous is Rawvana, who at that time had 2 million followers and was caught in Southeast Asia eating fish. Later, she admitted to her users that the vegan diet has been causing her multiple health issues and has been seeing a benefit when she added eggs and fish to her diet. Then you got the famous Tim Shieff. Tim Shieff was in 2 documentaries. One, What the Health, and the other one, Forks Over Knives. It was a documentary that I watched and got me to be a vegetarian for a few months, but during that time, my energy levels just freaking cratered. And he admitted that adding eggs and salmon to his diet has mitigated a list of health issues from body aches, depression, brain fog, and even when he works out, he doesn't feel the aches and pains as he did on a vegan diet. And he also had Bonnie, Rebecca, and Khalil Khan that admitted that the vegan diet wasn't working for them. And you see it everywhere. When somebody builds a personality based on a certain theory, an ideology, and when they start making money based on that, they're willing to have health issues privately to keep that persona. So now you got Liver King, who used to promote just eating meat, now eats a balanced diet. You got Paul Saladino, who said plants are bad for you, is now eating honey and fruit, including things as sweet potato and squash. You got yourself Bryan Johnson, that was plant only, dealing with autoimmune issues, now thinking that, hey, maybe this is just too overwhelming for him. Then you got the vegans selling the vegan diet. They're being caught in other parts of the world eating fish and eggs, or they're confessing to the public that the vegan diet's not exactly working for them. Now comes the guy that could have told everybody they were doing it wrong. The only problem is he was around in the 1930s. His name is Dr. Weston Price. He was a dentist in Ohio. Unfortunately, he lost his son through a tooth infection. This made him do years of research on root and teeth infection and how to affect the body, which was the basis for him to travel the world for over 10 years and trying to find what is the right way to eat. And ironically, before he left on his voyage, he totally thought a plant-based diet would be the answer. In the 1930s, the 10 years of travel, he met with American Indians, the Inuit up in Canada, small villages in Switzerland, places in Ireland, a couple of tribes in Africa, the Aborigines in Australia, the Maori tribesmen out in Australia as well, parts of Peru and other parts of South America. He would do the Pacific Islands. And all of them had a different diet, but there was one common theme. They ate whole foods. They included whatever resource was around them. The ones on the coast had seafood and sea vegetables. The one more inland were eating meats, especially beef liver and other organ meats. They had bread that was made from scratch. They were eating vegetables. There was no anti-nutrients they were worrying about. They had a whole food diet. And the common thing that he found with all these different civilizations, most of them had little or no cavities. And the average infection rate is 0.5%. And in modern society today, today's infection rate with cavities is 20%. And there were some groups that he investigated that had zero cavities. And during this time in the 1930s, you had old world and new world clashing. So were their diets. So you would literally have families where the older child maintained the traditional eating. Then you had the younger children that adopted Western eating, that were eating processed foods, enriched flour, sugar, processed meats, and their cavity rates would go up to 35%. And back in the United States, he would conduct experiments with the farmers located in different parts of the US. And he noticed that the farmers who fed their cows high quality grass, food that they actually want to eat, the nutrition level in that butter was at the highest. And when you compare it to cows with a grain-fed diet, their nutrition levels were at the low end. So all these influencers, Liver King, Bryan Johnson, Paul Saladino, a wave of vegans, they all started in one spot saying that their diet was the right way to go. And you see all of them eventually leading to the fact that a whole food diet is the way to live. The diet that Dr. Weston Price discovered 100 years ago by actually visiting dozens of tribes and civilizations around the world to find what was actually working. The common theme, whole foods, which includes meats and plants and organ meats. And that's it.